course, a Democrat from California, and Byron Donalds, of course, Republican from Florida. And by the way, you're going to see these guys for a long time if they decide to stay in service, because they're leaders now, but they're going to be household names in both their parties. So, gentlemen, again, I don't have a problem, Byron, with I heard this from people before, Democrats too, saying that certain agencies should be merged and stuff like that. But let's just be very clear. He can't do that. Trump can't do that. Congress has to do that. Only Congress can decide whether or not an agency goes away. The Constitution's pretty clear. If you fund it, you control it in terms of its existence, right?
I think, first, Chris, hold up. I think some of the hysteria going on in media is that, yes, Elon Musk is very direct in what he thinks needs to occur. Donald Trump, who has hired Elon Musk to be a special employee of the federal government to kind of go through and take a look at everything. It's almost as if he created a special envoy just to ascertain what's actually going on in the federal bureaucracy, the same way we have Steve Witkoff being the special envoy to the Middle East, the same way Joe Biden had John Kerry be a special envoy. But instead, Elon Musk's focus is the federal government. But now that being said, neither men have said that they're going to do this using a pen and a phone a la Barack Obama. They're just saying this is what they think should occur. But the conversations on the Hill amongst Republicans has been, okay, whatever those recommendations are, let's make sure we can find the votes to get it accomplished.
Okay, I got it. I'm not hysterical. You're hysterical. No, I'm kidding. I'm just laying it out there because I think it's important that people hear you, Byron, that you're saying, look, we know that this is still our house. Ro, what should be the level of concern that people are quitting over the Adams deal? Should we see it as people don't want to be part of this administration, so they're leaving and they're trying to be on their high horse about it? Or do you think that there's a real question that they shouldn't have cut him this deal?
Well, I think there are real questions that need to be answered with transparency. Look, I think there are multiple reasons that people are leaving, but one thing I want to just say to Byron, I'm glad he's standing up for the constitutional role, because people always ask me, are they going to be Republicans if Elon Musk or Trump start to shut down agencies? They're going to say, no, you don't get to do this. Congress gets to do this. And Byron, I hope you'll speak up like you are today, saying that they can't do this. And one other thing, Chris, I just want to say, Donald Trump today, I'll praise him for saying something. He said, let's have a trilateral agreement with China and Russia to bring down military spending. I've always said that's where they ought to start. Progressives ought to say that's a good idea. I mean, you know, and that's what I think our side has got to get over. Just because Trump says something doesn't mean it's wrong. I mean, we got to look at things issue by issue.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have an idea gap. You know, you went all in, your party, on just saying Trump sucks. So whatever it is, you know, he sucks, and he's just too bad a guy to be president. And it didn't work. And the sooner that Democrats realize that every time you've had a good run, it's because you had better ideas. Byron, in terms of the priorities that you see for Congress, how real is the pushback to the president's budget proposal? I'm hearing from conservatives that, hey, they want to cut. He should be cutting on what he just sent us, because we're not going to raise the ceiling. We're not going to let him extend these tax cuts unless they're paid for this time. We learned a lesson in 2016. How real is that among conservatives in the caucus?
Well, first of all, I want to be clear with you. If you're talking about a proposal from the White House,
don't call me hysterical again.
No. I haven't seen a proposal today. I will tell you about the budget ideas going on with reconciliation to accomplish the president's agenda. In my view, where this entire deal gets done is that you have to figure out how we're going to actually cut and reform mandatory spending. Right now, 70% or more of the federal budget is mandatory spending. It is our budget deficits year over year with no war, with no recession. That's the stuff that is going to have us go well past 36 trillion and upwards of 55 to 56 trillion over the next decade. So what conservatives on Capitol Hill are saying is we have to use this opportunity to cut mandatory spending, to reform some of these programs. And let's take something very simple. Obviously, let's take Medicaid. I'll give you one quick example. One of the ideas that's being talked about right now is actually having people basically go through the eligibility process well, 2 times a year. That way, you can actually make sure that the people who are on that program, who need that program, actually meet the criteria, as opposed to what's happening now, where we know there are people on those programs who do not meet the eligibility criteria. We got to find a way to save money, provide the assistance to people who really do need it, but also make sure that the fiscal health of the nation is sound. That's the conversation going on right now.
Ro, I mean, look, Bush put in pay-as-you-go. Clinton benefited from it and wound up having big surpluses. Of course, he had the tech boom also. Do you smell any of what Byron is cooking? Do you think this is stuff that Democrats will talk about?
Well, look, I appreciate Byron's intellectual honesty of describing his own position. It's very different than Donald Trump. I mean, what Byron is saying is that we need to look at possible cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. And the Republican budget has some of those cuts. The point is, Donald Trump said you're not going to cut that. He said that the Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney plan that you're going to make those cuts was not what the American people needed. And I think there's a real problem. There's a rift between what Donald Trump ran on and what some of the conservatives want. My view is that we shouldn't be cutting those programs, and I've proposed higher taxes on the wealthy to pay for it. You either have to have higher taxes on the wealthy, or you have to cut those programs if you want to balance the budget.
Or you can do both.
This is a big rift, in my view, on their party.
But that's fine. But you still can argue about the numbers. You know, you guys can argue about the numbers. You got to cut. You guys are spending too much, too fast. The borrowing is too big. Everybody knows it. Now, you can say, well, we'll do it with taxes against the rich. Whatever your remedies are, I think if you guys can get on the same page about bringing the number down of what's being spent, that's the most fertile area in terms of building consensus in America. All right, I got to jump. I'm getting yelled at for time. See, everybody's got budgets. Congressman Khanna will continue this conversation. Byron Donalds, thank you.